Now, getting started building a Microsoft Access database is pretty simple. You need to make sure that first you have Microsoft Access installed. That's basically it. Once you've done that, you can create a database. It doesn't require any type of admin permissions. It doesn't require database administrator or anything like that. Now, I've started Microsoft Access, and you can see this here. And you'll notice that it has some built-in Access databases that you can use. And these are templates. And in fact, there's a more templates option that you can click on to find some online and download those and start to learn from them. And in fact, these templates are actually pretty good ways to learn from Access once you got a handle on the very basics of it. It's also good if you are not interested in learning how to use an Access database. You just want to pick something that's ready-made for you. These can work pretty much out of the box. But we're going to build one from scratch, and so I'm going to choose a blank template. So when I create a blank database, it's going to ask me for the name. And this is this database3.accdb. That ACCDB is an extension for Access Database. Now, I can choose Database 3, but I want to pick something meaningful. First, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to change my folder. And this is going to be where I'm going to store my database. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my file name. So instead of Database 3, I'm going to pick a meaningful name. In my case, I'm going to pick Invoice Sample. Once I've done that, you notice that it changes it here in my information window, and I'm going to click Create. Now, when I do this, it's going to come up with Table 1. That's just a default table, and lets me kind of put information in. And this is a view that I can actually put information in, and Access will try to figure out what that table's for. Now, I don't want to do that. I want to create it using a system that's a little bit more thought out. So I'm going to close it, just click on that little X on the upper right hand side. I want to be careful not to click my main X. I want to click the X for my table. And I'm going to come over here to my Create tab. And I'm going to choose Table Design. Now my table design is going to open up in a design window. This is one of the views I can view at a table. This would be the same in SQL as if I were to use the create table method, but it's a graphical format. I'm going to start with my first field, and this is going to be my customer ID because I'm going to choose the customer table. And in this, my data type is going to be an auto number. Now, an auto number, if I look down my field properties on my bottom, you can see I'm using a long integer. My other option is a replication ID. Long integer works in 99.9% of all cases you need. You only need to worry about replication ID in some specific cases. We're not going to worry about that. New values, I'm going to increment. That means I'm going to have my first value is going to be 1, then 2, then 3, etc. I'm going to keep on going up till I reach my maximum. I'm not going to have to worry about that in most cases with an Access database. The Access database generally can't handle that much information, especially if I have a lot of fields for my table. Don't need to worry about my format or caption. We're going to ignore those. Index is going to be yes, but we're going to actually change this when I make this into a primary key because we don't want duplicates. So to make this a primary key, since this is my primary key, I'm going to select in the field name and I'm going to choose the primary key button. When I click that, you notice that there's a little key that shows in my left-hand box. That's just a visual identifier so I know that it's a primary key. You'll also notice in the field properties under indexed, it now says yes, but no duplicates are allowed. Let's go to our next field. We're going to keep this simple. We're going to give a first name. And I'm going to use short text. My short text can be up to 255 characters. That's going to be fine. Let's look at last name. This is also going to be short text. and I'm going to choose phone. So this phone number is a pretty simple thing, but I don't need a field size of 255. That's just too much. So I'm going to cut this way down. I'm going to cut this down to 20, which is still more than you need, but it allows room for a long extension if necessary. In my input mask, I'm going to come over here in my field properties, and I'm going to click on my little 3 dots. It's going to ask me to save the table first. I'm going to say yes, and this is going to be my customers. Now, I personally like to make all of my table names be plural. I don't hold a customer, I hold customers. I'm going to have products. I'm going to have invoices. You can kind of see that pattern there. So this is my customers table, and I'm going to click OK. And now I have this input mask wizard that's going to come up for me. This is pretty cool because it's got a lot of different ways. How do I want this to look? And so I can choose, do I want parentheses? Do I want dashes? I've got a lot of different things I can try here. You'll notice I also have input mask for other things, such as social security numbers, extensions, zip codes, and even passwords, where it's going to hide the password for us. I can go in and edit this list, or I can even go so far as to create my own if I have the experience in knowing what to put in here. I'm going to simply click Next. You're going to see what the input mask looks like. Notice that the 9s, just as an FYI, are optional and the 0s are required. So if you live in an area where your area code is required, you can change that to be 000 instead of 999, and now those are required. Default placeholder is an underscore. I can, of course, change this. I can have hash symbol. I can have an @ symbol, anything I want. I'm going to leave it the default, and I'm going to click Next. And it's going to ask, do I want to store it with or without those symbols? And I'm going to choose without by default. Microsoft Access will put that formatting in for me automatically. That's nice. I don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to click Next. And that's all I need to do. So I'm going to click Finished. And that is my first table. Customers. Nice, simple, and easy. That's just the way I want it.